Bow your heads with me, please. Father, we thank you for this lovely day outside, Lord. We thank you for all the families represented here today. Lord, we thank you for this time together and talk about decisions that will affect the city, both short and long term. Lord, give us wisdom to make those decisions. And we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Now we move on to public comment. Issues or items that are not on the agenda may be raised by the public at this time. Citizens should speak from the podium by beginning by stating their name and limit remarks to less than 3 minutes. Board members may request that a discussed item be placed on future agenda. The board takes public comment on all regular agenda items during the discussion of those items. Okay, there being no public comment, we're now closing that section and moving on to our consent agenda. Consider and approving the October 25th, 2017 minutes. Consider approving the necessary corporation disbursements. Consider approving the October 2017 financial statements. Can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Barrio, and second by Mr. Coles. All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Now we're moving on to regular agenda. Line item A, considering approving a resolution of the City of San Angelo Development Corporation Board of Directors authorizing the use of sales and use tax funds in an amount not to exceed $40,260 to provide an economic development incentive to Elite Solutions, Inc. for a project related to business enterprises that create or retain primary jobs as authorized for a Type B corporation under Local Government Code, Chapter 501, Subchapter C, presented by Ms. Shannon Scott.
Good morning. Shannon Scott, Economic Development Specialist for the City of San Angelo. So again, as Mr. Edward Carrasco stated, this is a resolution approving a project related to business enterprises, and in this case, the company is Elite Solutions. They are a technology contractor with their corporate headquarters located here in San Angelo. And what they do is they specialize in cable networks, multimedia systems, cameras, et cetera, installing those into facilities such as universities, hospitals, businesses, and those types of industries. And they do it through low voltage technology. Currently, they employ 24 employees. They plan to expand their current facility here in San Angelo and adding an additional 28 employees. What they would like to do is add a what they call a Big C training center, and I know two of the owners are here, so I'll let them explain that a little bit more in detail in just a minute. The incentives that we are offering are capital investment incentives, job creation incentives, as well as a work-ready ACT certification incentive, and I'll go into a little bit more detail on that in a minute, since that's something that we've not really done before, but we're trying to start doing with a lot more of these companies. So the capital investment breakdown, what we'd like to do for year one is offer them $15,000, and they would have to make a minimum capital investment of $75,000. Year two, our offer is $10,000 with a minimal capital investment from them of $100,000. So over 2 years, the total capital investment that we're proposing is $25,000. As far as the job creation incentive, like we said, they are planning on hiring 28 employees, and that's over the course of 4 years. So essentially 7 additional employees per year for 4 years. And what we'd like to do is offer them $500 per job. So for a total of $14,000 over the 4 years. And again, the work-ready ACT certification, some of you might have heard, and Roland can probably explain a little bit better. So basically, this is a certification that we're working on in Tom Green County for, basically it's a, and Roland may help me out here, but
The board's aware that we're certifying our workforce, and so what we found is this is a tool that our businesses can utilize to find the right person after some assessments for that key position. It reduces costs in the form of reducing turnover, and so in essence, the company benefits from having the right individual who is much more motivated, will stay long-term, and they have the right person for the right position, reducing costs, making them more profitable.
And And again, this is a small investment, but a worthy investment that we believe would benefit these additional employees. So again, it's going to be $45 per job for a total of $1260. So the total over 4 years is $40,260 in incentives that we're proposing. Lastly, it's important to point out, again, with all the projects that we run for our Business Retention and Expansion Program and other projects as well, we run this through our economic impact analysis so that we can gauge the return that we're getting for these projects that we invest in. So it's notable to point out again that we're going to have, we're projecting $8.7 million in annual economic output, and again, increasing the gross area product by $5.5 million. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. As I stated, Chris Kinsey Jr. and Chris Kinsey Sr. are here with Elite Solutions, so I'm sure they'd be happy to answer any questions as well.
Have any questions from the board? All right. There being no discussion on the item, it is a voting item, so I need to get a motion for approval.
Moved.
By Mr. Tankersley, second by Board Member Dindal. All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. All right, now moving on to public hearing for 4 projects. A public hearing is required to undertake a project under Section 505.159B. A Type B corporation shall hold at least one public hearing before funds can be expended to undertake the project. Presented by Mr. Roland Pena.
Good morning, board members. It's good to see everyone here today. As the President has stated, a public hearing is required to undertake a project. We have 4 different projects that were brought to the board last month, so we're following up. They were ratified by the City Council. Now we're following up with a public hearing. Same will occur with this last incentive proposal that was approved. And for the benefit of the audience, most of our economic development incentive proposals are discussed in executive session during negotiations, so the board has pretty much seen the information, and I wanted the audience to know about that. Moving on, what we intend to do is discuss these 4 projects and then open up the public hearing to take public input on any one of these projects. The first one is the construction trades program at Howard College. This was voted on last month with a 6-0 vote. This helps to complete the program. As you are aware, the Home Builders Association of San Angelo raised almost $500,000, and these funds are needed to complete the program, to hire the instructors, add some additional equipment and supplies, and this really launches the program. We are teaming up with the Workforce Development Board and the Texas Workforce Commission, seeking a high skills development grant. $100,000 will come through that. This is similar to what we did with the LVN-RN project. Our matching will be $168,000 over the course of 2 years, That concludes my information on the construction trades program. Let me move to the next item. The next project is Goodfellow Air Force Base. This amount is not to exceed of $1.5 million to help expand the mission at Goodfellow Air Force. Similar to the project that I just discussed, we are applying for a grant through the governor's office. Their grant program is entitled Defense Economic Adjustment Assistance Grant. It does require matching funds, local funds match. In this case, Tom Green County is the applicant. They will serve as the fiscal agent and administrator. The project involves renovations of 2 facilities in the amount of 24,000 square feet. It will add classrooms. These are considered highly classified classrooms, support space for instructors, and they will add a psychologist on site. That's another partnership with Shannon that is part of the grant application, and will also increase dining facility by 150 persons. The total project costs are in $8.8 million. It will add additional active and civilian jobs. The economic impact is important for us to note. We expect a direct full-time military jobs to be created of 150. These are in the form of students. And direct full-time civilian jobs to be created. These are 9. These are going to be instructors. Average salaries of $73,500, $11.7 million approximate payroll. Obviously, you already know that Goodfellow Air Force Base employs 5,009. That total amount of salaries there, direct and indirect, amounts to $368 million. Moving on to the next project. This was for advertising the business plan competition. This will help to create the awareness and promote the business plan competition. That expenditure is in the amount of $5,000. It did authorize the president to execute a performance agreement with McLaughlin Advertising. McLaughlin has been utilized for the past 2 years, and they've been very successful. That firm has been very successful and instrumental in securing the in-kind prizes. The committee, who helps to coordinate the business plan competition, felt that they wanted to use McLaughlin Advertising again this year because of that purpose. The announcement to kick off the business plan competition occurs today, and you're going to hear from Dave Erickson later in the agenda, and we're also going to have a press conference as well. The fourth project has to do with the administrative services with the City of San Angelo for this fiscal year of 2018. It did authorize the president to sign and execute that performance agreement. Administrative services are every bit of those resource personnel and departments that provide resources to the Development Corporation, everything from audit, real estate and finance, accounting, information technology, communications. I'm just trying to give you an idea, at least for the benefit of the audience, purchasing, communications, human resource, public information, neighborhood and family services, and obviously our legal services. Over here to my left, Dan, who is, I cannot thank enough. He is there for us almost every day. We're in constant contact. The agreement does call for performance measures from every one of the departments, not to mention, or not to neglect to mention, the folks who are operating the system back there, the Emory Award winner, Brian Groves, and then we do have some accounting folks back there with Jaime Guerrero. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have. If you don't, then you may go ahead and ask for public comment and open up the public hearing.
Yes, those that have questions on the public hearing, if you'll please state which line item that you're referencing. There are 4 listed out there. And so if any comments that are made, if you will just help address which particular line item you'll be discussing. So it's now open for public and board comment.
Roland, I have one question on item 2 for the Goodfellow expansion.
Yes, sir.
We had talked previously the 1.5 million. We were going to try and get some help through someone else to come in and kick in a little bit, or they were trying to apply for some grants on their side. Do we have any report on the success? Or are we still going that
Yes.
way? I mean,
yes. The as you know, Mike Boyd and Carol Ann Bond are the 2 instrumental individuals that work very closely with Goodfellow Air Force Base, and they're the ones that are much more informed about the activities at Goodfellow, including some that may be confidential. Mike Boyd also serves on the Health Foundation, or he has some connection with the Health Foundation. His advice to us in some of the committee planning as we were preparing for the grant application was that we submit a request to the Health Foundation in December. So that is the avenue that we're seeking additional in-kind contribution. Now, what's not on the PowerPoint is the fact that what is being requested from the governor's office is around 4.5 million. The rest is coming through some additional federal funds that Goodfellow Air Force Base is going to be seeking to add to that community match. So those are the strategies that we're working on now, that additional federal funds match and the Health Foundation.
Any other comment from the board or public? There being none, we're going to go ahead and close public hearings on those line items and move on to agenda line item 5C. Update presentation regarding the 2018 San Angelo Business Plan Competition presented by Mr. Dave Erickson, ASU Small Business Development Center Director.
Morning, Board.
Morning.
Morning. Thank you very much for your support of the competition. Just wanted to give you an overview of the competition for you today, and especially since some of you are new to the board and weren't involved last year. The coordinators for the competition you see here are the same. The ASU Small Business Development Center, the ASU College of Business, and the City of San Angelo Development Corporation. This is year 3 of the competition. We had 2 successful years, starting in 2006, and remember that was rejuvenated when it went dormant in 2009. We rejuvenated the competition in 2006. And both years have been very successful, and we look forward to a real successful competition this year too. We feel like it benefits small businesses for all, even though they don't win. Those who compete have a tremendous benefit as well in competing in a competition, developing their business plans, developing their business, or developing their expansion plans as well, because it is open to new or existing small businesses. So we feel it benefits all, enhances the economic development environment, entrepreneurial environment for San Angelo by creating a more positive and supportive business climate. And spurs those thinking about starting a business and spurs those thinking about expanding their business as well. So some of the highlights for this year in the competition, highlights is it's open to new and existing businesses, as I mentioned. This year there's 2 cash prizes available. First prize is $50,000. That's a significant increase over last year. And so thank you for your support in that, and for the board and staff as well. Second place is $20,000. And also, as mentioned, in-kind prizes are worth thousands of dollars for those who take advantage of them. Not all the winners take advantage of all the in-kind prizes, because depending on the nature of their business. But they add up significantly. And what we hear from the winners is those are very valuable to their business. And so we appreciate those businesses, those local businesses that step up and provide those in-kind prizes, whether it's media, marketing, legal, accounting, office supplies, and so forth. So real valuable part of the competition. Eligibility this year is a little different. Obviously, creating primary jobs is the key in all 3 years of the competition. This year, they'll be required to meet one of the NEX codes that are required for COCDC funding. And those NEX codes are listed in the guidelines, which I believe you have a copy of. And in order to be eligible, they have to fit one of those NEX codes, which covers a vast amount of different kind of businesses in San Angelo. To make it easy for those who want to enter the competition and those contestants, we have a number of avenues of resources so they can help determine what next code they're in or next sector that they're in. We have a complete booklet that we have copies of to help them determine the complete booklet of the next codes, the eligible next codes. That's going to be on the website, the competition webpage. Also, there's an email called Dr. Nex. You can Dr. NICS, you can email your business overview, and they can tell you which next code you fit. And then there's next.com, and of course, Next was developed by the Census Bureau, and their census.gov also creates a lot of. So there's many, many resources besides us as Small Business Development Center business advisors can help people determine what their next code is if they don't know. And part of the process of helping them in the competition is helping them determine that next code. So, as last previous years, the business must be in San Angelo or in a CTJ, which is 3.5 miles outside the city. If they haven't started the business, they have to make sure they put the business in San Angelo, and they'll be required to do that during the effective period of the grant agreement. Marketing of the competition, as mentioned, is going to be primarily through McAuliffe advertising, besides the advertising that we provide or the marketing that we provide. So TV, radio, newspaper, social and digital media, and then many, many appearances. In fact, we'll be appearing on a dialogue show Sunday week after this coming Sunday for Foster Communications Dialogue Show, and many TV and radio appearances as well. So we never have a shortage of contestants. Last year we had 41 entries, and from those 41 entries we had 8 or 9 semifinalists and of course 5 finalists. And the year before we had 19 entries, the first year we rejuvenated the competition. This is kind of the overview of the process. It's in 3 phases as before. Phase 1 is the contestants only have to create a 2-page business overview. In those criteria, those elements of that business overview are in the packet, clearly explained. And we, as business advisors, can help those folks with that. And they enter that on February 5th. This is the deadline. So there's a lot of time between now, the kickoff, and February 5th for them to get that in. Just requires 2 pages. Well thought out 2 pages, of course. And that's phase 1. The judging panel will decide who moves to phase 2. And so we'll take all those entries and we'll whittle it down to 8 or 9 semifinalists. And the judging panel will determine who moves to phase 2, and those folks will create their draft business plan. Full-blown draft business plan, and those elements are included in the guidelines. And this is where us as business advisors at the Small Business Development Center work closely with those folks. And then we bring in the element, which I'll talk more about in a minute, but we bring in the element of the ASU College of Business student team, which is made up of undergraduate and graduate students. And they work underneath the business advisors, and they help these contestants. And it's been great, a great experience, and they've done great work. And I think in the audience we have a member of that student team already. And if I could, I want to take this time just to introduce them real quick. These gentlemen are both part of the College of Business, Business of Fraternity, Delta Sigma Pi, and Brian Harris is president, and then Cody Vasquez is vice president. And they're here today just getting some education as well. So phase 3 is the final stage. Those semifinalists, when they create their business plan, they'll turn those in and they'll be judged by the judging panel. And the judging panel will decide who moves forward as finalists. And there's 4 or 5 of those who will move forward as finalists. Again, that's up to the judging panel. And then they'll finalize their business plan and then present to that judging panel in person on Saturday, right before the announcement of the winners on April 24th. So that's kind of the overview of the competition. I want to just mention on the judging panel too, those judges are made up of 7 people. All but one are small business owners or have been in the past. One is a commercial lender. A couple of them are small business mentors. At least one is an angel investor. And 3 to 4 of them are in their 3rd year of the competition as judges. So we feel real good about the judging panel, and they're well known to all of you all. We tend to keep their identity secret in a sense so that they're not bombarded with inquiries and such. But if they want to make themselves known, they sure can on their own. So. The competition assistants, as I mentioned, the 3 coordinators are the 3 of us, Small Business Development Center, College of Business, and COSA DC. And we work well together. It's a real joy for all of us to work together in coordinating this competition. Vince McGonnell represents the ASU College of Business. He's an instructor at ASU, he's a former small business owner. He works with the student team. He oversees that. That's actual class at ASU, made up of 12, as I mentioned, students. And then, of course, the ASU Certified Business Advisors, I can't say enough about their hard work and what they do. And we encourage all the contestants to use us as a resource because it has shown, I think all the winners have used the SBDC advisors. In fact, in the competition, the semifinalists will be required to use us at least for one meeting. So, the College of Business student team, as I mentioned, this is a picture of last year's student team, 2017. I think there's 4 graduate students in there, and the rest undergrad, all College of Business students, and they did phenomenal work. And just think of the service learning opportunities and what they learned working with real businesses and being part of the competition. It's a great experience, and we look forward to them, this new team, having that same experience. So, last year's winners, there's 3 winners last year, first, second, and third place. And later on today, a few of those will be here for the press conference. First place winner was HR Onboarding Solutions, Brent Jameson. Second place was Moontime, Chelsea Woldrup. And third place was Longhorn Coffee Company, Scott and Lori Deckers. And you can see their actual checks here that they won. So, and that took place at the Costa DC meeting, April 26th. That's basically what I had. Be glad to take on any questions you may have. And I don't know if Roland wanted to input anything.
Any questions from the board?
The only thing I want to say, and at least for the new board members, I firmly believe that the business plan competition would not be where it is today without the leadership of our ally and partner, Dave Erickson. He does a phenomenal job, and he's always thinking out of the box. We work real closely together, as he said. So it is a treat, and I can say that I think we owe him, just what the business plan competition is today. We owe him a round of applause, in my view. So.
Thank you, Roland. Thank you to the board for all your support and the city staff, for the Costa DC staff as well. So,
I do have a question, Dave. With it going on for a few years, has there been, I guess, the semifinalists from years past try again, or I mean, have you seen kind of repeat?
No, we haven't yet seen someone repeat, but I think for $50,000 we may see.
But they're eligible, correct? I mean,
yes.
Okay.
There's nothing in the guidelines that say that past contestants are not eligible.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Fair
a
enough.
good point because they can refine what they do and apply again.
Is there any tracking as to what these companies have done since they win, or what's been going on the last few years? Or?
Yeah, we do. We all the winners are also our clients, so we track them, and all but one has been moving forward and being successful, and attribute the competition to helping them tremendously. And the other contestants are clients as well, and we keep track of them as clients. Some have had successes, some not as much, but timing is everything. In starting a business, it may not have been the right time for them, but it may be the right time this year or next year or down the road. So we always want to be encouraging to them to stay in the game, and especially those who are thinking about starting a business. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Dave.
Thank you all.
Dave, press conference, right, today?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, press conference. Right after the Costa DC meeting, we'll have a press conference, so hope y'all can stay and attend that. So
That's held here? The
yes,
press
it's held
conference?
right
Okay.
here. We'll just turn the mic around, right? Face that way, so.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dave. All right. Now we're moving on to agenda item D, Consider approving a resolution authorizing the president to negotiate and execute a memorandum of understanding with the City of San Angelo Funding Task Order Number 110 to the City Professional Services Agreements RFQ AP-02-15 with KSA Engineers, Inc., effective October 27, 2015, in a sum of $205,000 to perform professional engineering and surveying services for reconstruction and upgrade of a hangar located at 8092 Hangar Road, San Angelo Regional Airport, Mathis Field, a project authorizing the use of sales and use tax funds pursuant to the Texas Development Corporation Act, Chapter 505 of the Texas Local Governmental Code, subject to approval of the City Council. Mr. Pena.
Board members, as the president read, you have a resolution in your packet to allow us or authorize the president to negotiate and execute an MOU with the City of San Angelo. This will be for a professional services agreement with KSA, between the city and KSA, and an MOU between Costa DC and the city airport. Some of these projects move very quickly. I think the position of the board has been that we don't want to be a hinder, especially when we identify that there is a project with a great potential and that we want to process these projects efficiently and expeditiously. So this developed very fast last week. What we're proposing is the professional services agreement related to the following task. This has to do with the airport hangar where the Customs and Border Protection Air and Marine Operations house their facility. It's a secure, very confidential service that is provided there. But they have some issues at the hangar. I guess most pressing is the HVAC operations. We toured the facility, Bob and I, and there are issues when you have a lot of equipment that is monitoring a lot of their work. And the location of the HVAC is at the command center. And so that one's going to require some action. These tasks, Bob, would you hand out the task order, please? This wasn't available when we were posting, so I'm going to hand this out so that you could follow along with me. If you look at the the last page, that's probably going to be much more explanatory for you. It does provide cost. We had he updated this information as early as yesterday so that I could have a fresh number for you. As I was talking about, task number 1 has to do with HVAC. Task number 2 involves a feasibility study. That airport hangar is in need of a roof repair. The potential for the project will add 62 additional jobs with an average salary of $120,000, and that could add additional maintenance personnel and aircraft. So if we add more aircraft, there needs to be some repairs to the roof. We are talking about a structural reconfiguration of the aircraft bays and the potential of installing portable buildings for offices in the airport hangar. The study needs to be conducted to determine whether it's feasible to go through those kind of expenses. Task number 3 is for exterior pavement design. So if the feasibility study determines that it is too costly or not feasible, then sort of a plan B would be to create some additional improvements for exterior where aircraft can be stationed. If in the event that we determine in this MOU between Costa DC and the city, airport personnel, and the tenant, that we should proceed further investigating the feasibility of making those modifications to the airport hangar, then they will proceed with task number 4 for designing of those improvements. Total cost, if you add these numbers, are going to be around $208,000. What we submitted in the memo was $205,000. But again, this has a decision here. We're going to be making a decision on task number between task number 2 and task number 4. So it's a possibility that if we determine that we're not going to do the exterior design, then obviously that number is going to be below the 205 or 208,000. So I'm not recommending that we up that number. I just wanted to be able to provide some information to you as to what is happening with regard to the task. I am open to answer any questions that you may have, and otherwise I would recommend approval of the resolution.
Questions from the board?
Roland, this is the largest of the hangars out there that used to be the Mitsubishi facility, is that correct? Sort of at the north end of the runway?
It is on
closest
the
to
far
fire
north
station.
end, but I don't believe it was Mitsubishi, is it, Bob?
It's the northernmost. I'm not sure if it's Mitsubishi or not, but it's the northernmost hangar on the ramp.
Okay, yeah, it was their jet manufacturing facility.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
just to familiarize myself with you. I'll make the motion that we approve.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, motion carries.
Thank you, board.
All right, now we're going to move on to item E. Consider approving a resolution authorizing the board president to execute a utility easement on behalf of the Development Corporation, conveying to the city of San Angelo a 20-foot perpetual utility easement across 1.061 acres of land owned by Costa DC and located east of Highway 67, north of FM 380, city of San Angelo, Tom Green County. Mr. Bob Schneeman.
Thank you. Good morning. This is a utility easement that's part of, it's actually part of the new Tom Green County Jail project, but it's also, it also serves a portion of our Phase 2 development in the future phases. It's a 20-foot easement required along the eastern boundary of Phase 2 for sewer and future utilities construction and maintenance. As I said, the sewer will serve the Tom Green County Jail site as well as our future development, and the easement location also serves future expansion Phase 2 and expansion farther north of the proposed jail. Very quickly, this is the location of the easement. This is Phase 2 of the industrial park. This is Phase 1. This is the county jail, and of course then I'm sorry, this is the proposed solar park, and this is the proposed county jail. And then it would be available also to serve properties farther north. Just a quick, this is a copy of the surveyor's plat, again showing this is Phase 2 of the industrial park. It'll be along our eastern boundary, and it will serve, there's a portion of the park in this area that will also be served by it. The board may remember that you approved $100,000 a while back for construction of a portion of this line. The county will actually be constructing the line, and as our properties connect into the line, then we would pay a proportionate share of it based on frontage. At this point, I'll take any questions.
I feel this is simply a necessary action. I'll make the motion we approve.
Second by Mr. Tankersley, first by Mr. John Barrio. All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Now moving on to
Thank you.
agenda. Thank you, Bob. Now moving on to agenda item F, staff updates on the following. I-14 Gulf Coast Strategic Highway Coalition, Congressional District Strategic Meeting, Alexandria, Louisiana. Line item 2, Goodfellow Air Force Base Ribbon Cutting, New Training Center. And line item 3, ACT Work Ready Community Award Recognition, Austin Workforce Summit. Mr. Pena.
Just to keep you abreast of some of the activities that have been occurring, so we're our active board and active department. We attended the I-14 Gulf Coast Strategic Highway Coalition meeting November 7th. This was really a short notice type of notification for us. The purpose was to put together a Congressional District Strategy meeting and discussion. This was held in Alexandria, Louisiana. President Edward Carrasco and myself attended. We had 14 Texas representatives there, 16 from Louisiana and 9 from Mississippi. This included mayors, parish and county commissioners, MPOs, type of individuals. We are, at least in the discussion, is seeking an amendment to the current designation to add San Angelo and Midland, Odessa, and are planning a trip to Washington, D.C. So representatives from all 3 states will be attending, talking to our congressional legislators about their support. We feel like this is the last chance that we may have going into the new year to seek their support and seek the amendment. This is the map that was provided at the meeting, currently showing you what's in yellow is the current designation, and what's in orange is what we're asking for in terms of amendments. There was strong support from the Louisiana delegates, and Mississippi all seemed very receptive. So the consensus was that we are planning to all descend on Washington, D.C. that week. What is fair to note is that is the same week of the Coast of D.C. Board meeting, so we may have to do some adjustments with that regard. I am open to answer any questions, or if the president may want to add any.
What I was going to add on there is by having the 3 states all in one room, it really added, that much more value to the meeting. Mississippi, we had obviously the map that is illustrated there. It only went halfway through their state. With representatives being there, they wanted it to go all the way through, and so they took ownership of it, and we're going to connect with mayors along the way and economic development councils, things of that nature, to make sure it goes all the way through, and they really had a big buy-in, so that was a real win. Obviously, Louisiana was right on board with Texas, and so just having that extra buy-in with all the 3 states on board, we look forward to that trip to Washington. So, and then a side note that I was wanted to share with the group was, we flew out of our regional airport here, and 6 o'clock in the morning, and it was a full flight, so that's always a plus. We love seeing that from our airport, and just wanted to let the board know that plane going to Dallas at 6 o'clock in the morning, I believe every seat was full on there, so it was the bigger plane and double rows on each side, so that was impressive from our end. So.
And coming back, I think maybe 75% full around the same flight.
Yeah, I think we're coming back on the 8 o'clock flight. So it was the first flight back this way, and so that one was about 75%. So that was good.
I might also add Steve Floyd, our county judge, and Brenda Gunter, our mayor, also attended with us. So we had 4 representatives from San Angelo, and Motran out of Midland, Odessa had 2 representatives as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Any other
Might
questions?
also note on your map, Roland, that that stretch of highway from San Angelo up to Sterling City would be shared with I-27 in that parallel project, well, not parallel, perpendicular project that we've got going on at the same time. Might be a little bit of added ammunition when you go to Washington.
That's right. Thank you very much for pointing that out. I know I-27 has been a strong supporter of I-14 and vice versa.
Thank you.
I guess in addition to that, when we make the plans for that fly-in to DC, I guess any board member that wants to attend, it'd be good for us to know, since you've got some advance notice for it. Let me move to the next topic is Goodfellow Air Force Base. Part of your package showed the email that I received from Goodfellow Air Force Base. They're having the ribbon cutting for the International Training Center. That's coming up November 21st at 3 p.m. And it does give you the building number 900. It will be business casual. This is the project that we've been waiting for, that we helped to fund to the tune of, I think it was $653,000, but it was what ultimately got us the grant from the governor's office. So we're very proud of that, and it's going to be adding some additional students, training these international students and 35 countries that are a part of that project. So anyway, that's an update. If you'll let me know if you want to attend so that I can forward that information to Goodfellow Air Force Base. This has to do with the ACT Work Ready Community Award that we received, but more importantly, I guess this was a conference that was held in Austin called the ACT Workforce Summit. We certified our community or our county within 10 months, and that was through the great efforts of the committee, the coordinating committee that continues to grow, that includes education. Jamie Rainey is part of that committee. I know she's sitting behind me. So is Mike Buck with the Workforce Development Board, and we have others from ASU, College of Business, ASU Academic Affairs, Region 15, Ethicon, Foster Communications. There's another private sector, Shannon Medical. But I was very proud of the fact that we were asked to present, and so we created an interactive session. So it was a separate session for those who are seeking to certify their county. So after 10 months and maybe another 9 months of learning, becoming certified within 10 months, then we were asked to present before. And this is a national conference, so we had folks from all over the nation, many different states that were there seeking to learn about the ACT program, the certification process. Those that attended or that conducted the interactive presentation was myself, Sarah Lamog, who's sitting back there with AmeriCorps Vista, Mike Buck, and Kelly Overby is with Gregg County. So we teamed up with Gregg County, and I felt that was well received. What came as a surprise, I guess I didn't realize that we were going to be presented an award, but we were one of 37 counties or parishes that received an award. We were the only county from the state of Texas to be awarded. So as a host state and a host community to be recognized there was pretty special. And I think Nora, or do you have the? Okay. So they can take a look at it. So this really goes to you. You have helped fund or help support the program. You help provide your guidance and your input as we were embarking on this project, and so really the congratulations goes to y'all and your leadership and your support. That was a treat.
Congratulations as well and thank you for attending.
That's all I have for staff updates.
All right. Any questions for Roland on any of those line items?
Kind of a timeline on this I-14. Yeah, I know. I mean, are we?
It's been.
Let me.
talking my grandkids are going to use this?
Well, let me respond. Let me respond this way, Director Coles. The I-14 Gulf Coast Strategic highway system are the same folks as the I-69 folks. And they've been at it over 50 years, and they've have helped form more than 250 miles of interstate. If you look at 69 West and East and South, and I mean, you can see it from there to Corpus. But they've been successful at it. They know how to do it. When we received the designation December of 2016, it caught everybody by surprise, even unbeknownst to us, even unbeknownst to our own Congressman Mike Conaway. So they've been able to do it. So I have high hopes that we can ride their coattails. We are now members and have 4 delegates that y'all pay for, or 3 that y'all pay for out of this Coast DC board, that we can amend it. Now, what's interesting for us is that there's 26 miles that have been designated and the signs have gone up, hence the photo here. And you may remember in April, the unveiling of the signage occurred. So they have their signs between Killeen, Corpus Cove and Belton. Killeen's in the middle. And really makes sense that you're connecting these forts and you're creating now another form of mobility for our military and defense. So I'm just saying they've moved very quickly in a short time frame, and I'm very hopeful that perhaps that we can see the amendment. Once we get the amendment, we'll be working with TxDOT to see what it's going to take to create our own signage. Incidentally, we were talking to Killeen while we were over there in Louisiana, and they've already landed a Japanese $5 billion capital investment just strictly because they were able to put those signs up and declare themselves part of Interstate 14. Pretty incredible.
Question. So just on the map here, will the yellow line from Brady over where that Fort Stockton or wherever that was going to connect with I-10, would that not happen? And then the orange line would be the replacement of that?
Well, the way we look at it is that the transportation agencies, in fact, it was TxDOT who recommended to I-14 that we amend that designation to add San Angelo and Midland Odessa because of the population centers and because of the traffic. So we're going to obviously advocate to support all our regional communities. But if the state agencies feel like that dollars are limited and they're going to dedicate those dollars to where it makes sense and is much more feasible, then that's the approach that we're taking. So not advocate for deleting any of those routes that are currently on the map, but advocate that we need this kind of transportation mobility.
As I understand it, another key to that is that the premise of I-14 is to connect forts.
That's correct.
And someone forgot that Goodfellow Air Force Base is out here.
That's correct.
So this northern route would include Goodfellow, but then again, the funding would exist merely because of the commerce that occurs in Midland, Odessa, of course, San Angelo. There are proponents for both routes, and I think because the original yellow line was previously approved, it's easier to add than to change.
We had a quote that Steve Floyd, our county judge, I think this is really the way the meeting ended. There were many folks in the room that were saying we know that this is a long-term effort, and the judge, I think he solidified the end of the meeting with his quote, and that was, well, I'm going to start eating healthier because I want to see this happen, and I want to see this to benefit our kids and grandkids. So it's a good quote.
Been driving that San Angelo to College Station route for the last, my whole life, but personally since college, so about 15, 20 years. There has been an enormous improvement.
Yes.
In that, I mean, it used to just be a 2-lane most of the way. on the east side of 35. So from Belton over to Cameron. But they have been making huge improvements on the roads, splitting it. Now it's all split over there. And really looking at this map, the only part that I can see that has not been is really the Brady to kind of the Coppers Cove, Lampasas. That's still just the only part of that that hasn't been widened. But I think they're working on it right now, so it seems like it's been
Making progress.
My point is, I don't see that there's a whole lot to do.
That's why it made sense.
Yeah, that's why
in
it
fact.
makes sense, because
Yes.
San Angelo to Brady is, we're Eden, I guess, but.
And Major Hoffines, he's back there. He may be much more informed about this, but at least TxDOT, from what I remember, has told us that, you know, we already have the easements, and we have our 87 highway is already interstate, pretty much interstate ready, and we have the easements already bought and so forth. So we're very close.
Thank you, Roland.
Welcome. That's all I have, Bert.
Any more questions for Roland? No? All right, this is where we would usually break off into closed session, but we do not have any items to discuss in closed session, so, and we do not have any follow-up administrative issues. So with that being said, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
By Mr.
Second.
Tankersley, second by Mr. Ario. All those in favor? Aye. Thank y'all for attending.